Have you considered red yeast rice for your cholesterol health? Well, here's what you need to know. Stay tuned. Well, the first things we might want to ask is, what is red yeast rice and what's actually in it? Red yeast rice, or Winter yeast, has been used for centuries in China as both food and medicine. It's made by fermenting a type of yeast, which I won't even try to pronounce, over red rice. As far as what's in it, lots of different things. But the one that concerns me, or should concern us the most, is this compound called monacolin-K, which, as it happens, has the same chemical formula as livastatin, also known as Mevacor. So basically, red yeast rice is a natural source of a natural statin. So the FDA has a position on red yeast rice, and in 1998 they determined that a red yeast rice product that contained a substantial amount of this monacolin-K was actually a drug, because it was a statin and not a dietary supplement. So there was a court case on it. They went back and forth. There was an appeal. The FDA actually lost the first round. They won on appeal, and basically the FDA has made this ruling that you can't sell legally in the United States red yeast rice that has more than a certain amount of livastatin in it. Or actually, the way they actually put it here is like they say on this website. This is from a government website. According to the FDA, red yeast rice products that have enhanced or added livastatin. So in other words, you can't add livastatin to it. Well, what does enhanced mean? From what I could tell just reading through the literature, enhancing the amount of livastatin in red yeast rice would happen if you concentrated it, maybe by removing other stuff, treating it in a certain way that increases the concentration in the supplement that you're actually selling. So the FDA has sent out warning letters to companies who are selling red yeast rice that have enhanced or the added livastatin, and I'm telling them to correct their violations. So are the products effective? Well, here's the FDA position. Well, they have considerable amounts of monacolin-K, which may lower cholesterol levels. Now, they keep on saying that it's structurally identical to livastatin, so I don't understand what the distinction is. I'm not a chemist, so maybe if there's any chemists watching, you can explain to me what that terminology might mean. Basically, they're saying if the amount of monacolin-K in the red yeast rice is high enough to actually have an impact on cholesterol levels, then it is basically a statin prescription drug. Some red yeast rice products contain very little of this substance, and it's unknown if they're effective in reducing cholesterol. So it's kind of interesting because they tell about all the good things that red yeast rice could do, but then says, but you can only get it by prescription as livastatin or Mevacor. So how much of this monacolin-K or livastatin is actually in red yeast rice? Traditional red yeast rice, it has trace amounts in it, though they seem to, like we say, either illegally add or concentrate the, I'm just going to call it livastatin, it's easier for me to pronounce, in the red yeast rice product. But you can't actually know the amount of that that's in whatever you're buying, because most of the brands that are available out there don't list that on the label. There was a study in 2017, they analyzed 28 brands at mainstream retailers. They're talking about Walmart, they're talking about Walgreens, CVS, GNC, those sort of places. Out of those 28, it wasn't detected in 2 of the brands, and 26 of the brands actually had some level of livastatin in it. 2 of them, if you took the dose that was recommended on the bottle, you would actually be hitting a level of livastatin that you would get by prescription for a low dose. Livastatin actually ranges from 10 milligrams to 80 milligrams per day as the approved dosages, 10 milligrams being a very low dose, 80 milligrams being the maximum dose. So this 5.48 milligrams per 1200 milligrams of red yeast rice that you see at the bottom, well, that would be a half a dose according to the recommendations on the bottle. So there was this table in the paper that reported this, and it was very interesting. They showed what the labeled ingredients were, how many other ingredients were on the label, the servings recommended per day, whether the label advised consumers to talk to their doctor if they're taking any other medications, whether the label addresses avoiding using it with statins or cholesterol medicine because that could result in an overdose, whether they informed about symptoms of rhabdomyolysis. Well, rhabdomyolysis isn't just caused by statins, but the frequency or the probability of getting rhabdomyolysis goes up when you're taking statins. So this is kind of an acknowledgement that this is a statin. And then they had the amount of livastatin, and they happened to normalize it to 600 milligrams per day, and then the amount of livastatin you would get if you took the recommended dose. Interesting, the one thing this table didn't tell us is what the products were. So you can't go to this study and figure out, well, which products are safer or have a certain level of livastatin in them. So here was the breakdown of the lovastatin content if you took the recommended dose. And you see that 2 of these had a prescription dose over to the right there. The rest of them, well, I would say if the natural amount in there was between 0 and 1 milligrams for a daily dose, the FDA was probably going to let that slide. They probably wouldn't be concerned too much if it was under 5, and maybe that one that was between 5 and 6, maybe that wouldn't concern them. But the prescription dose definitely concerns them. They have gone around and sent notifications to some of these sellers of red yeast rice products that contain too much lovastatin in them. So what warnings come along with red yeast rice? Well, this is from one product's website. It was actually General Nutrition Center, GNC. And these are just some of the warnings that they give with it. That it contains a chemical known to the state of California that cause birth defects or other reproductive harm. Immediately discontinue if you experience any unexplained muscle pain or tenderness. Muscle pain, sound familiar? Statin side effect. Don't use if you're pregnant, can become pregnant, or are nursing. Talked about that in earlier videos that, yeah, this stuff is not recommended for breastfeeding mothers or pregnant women. Don't use if you have active liver disease or a history of liver disease. Well, what is a statin doing? It's working on our liver. It's interfering with our liver's normal function. It should not be taken in combination with grapefruit juice. Another warning sign that this is actually a statin, or prescription lowering cholesterol drugs, because you're just adding one statin onto another. So next I'm going to look at a supplement that was available commercially at one time. It's been modified since this, and we'll see why. And the FDA got involved and sent a letter to the producer of this supplement, and I have redacted it for the purposes of this video because I'm not reviewing the product and I'm not making any judgments on the seller of the product. I'm just using this as an example to show how much variation there can be in a manufacturing process that is not tightly controlled. And if you were interested, you could figure out what this product is. Just follow the links in the description. But the interesting thing to me here is that the FDA tested 2 samples of the product, and the first sample had 14.3 milligrams per capsule, and apparently the dose is 6 capsules per day. This would result in a lovastatin load that is greater than the maximum, because 80 milligrams is a maximum lovastatin load. The greater than that maximum, because it would have a consumer ingesting 85.8 milligrams per day of lovastatin. Yet another sample they took, there was only 0.4 milligrams per capsule. That would provide 2.5 milligrams per day, which is a quarter of the minimum dose. So probably that would have flown under the radar. If they tested this product and all they came up with was that 0.4 milligrams per capsule, and I don't know the capsule size and what that would translate into that normalized 600 milligrams, but they probably would have let this slide. Now, there was a whole bunch of other things about advertising and everything else, but basically this letter was sent to the producer of this supplement and told basically, you have to cease and desist. You should take prompt action to correct it within 15 working days and tell us what you're going to do about it. The FDA actually does give these producers a chance to correct the problem when it's come to their attention. Here's what has changed since then. Now, you notice, by the way, this is 2020 that this letter was sent. That's 22 years after that first determination. So this has been going on for a long time. And a lot of these products out there probably still have what the FDA might consider too much lovastatin in them, but they just haven't caught it yet. So anyway, the original product, the labeling had this phrase on it: naturally helps improve cholesterol, HDL, LDL ratios, total lipids, homocysteine, and C-reactive protein. Well, now the equivalent product, if you were to look up that product name on Amazon and you're in the United States, you would actually get a different product, similar name, but all it says is helps support healthy cholesterol already within a normal range. So in other words, it's no longer being advertised as something that is going to lower cholesterol. And even though it doesn't say it directly, when you say improve HDL LDL ratios, well, that's lowering LDL, and that would improve the ratio. So this no longer has it. I suspect that the lovastatin component has been removed completely from this. Interesting, the advertisements for it say, oh, this is all natural. If you can't take a statin, you can take this without the side effects. Well, if you got hit with more than the maximum dose of a prescription dose of lovastatin, you would definitely have the side effects if you're prone to side effects. If you're not getting side effects, then probably that little bit extra wouldn't do it. But that is what's considered a moderate dose. Lovastatin actually only goes up to moderate intensity. It doesn't go up to high intensity. Only Crestor and Lipitor go up to high intensity. So that's a subject for another video another day. So here's my opinion on red yeast rice and products like that. First of all, if you're taking red yeast rice, you may actually be taking lovastatin, and you just don't know how much. If the dose is high enough to have an impact, then it's probably been enhanced or had lovastatin added to it, so it's not legal in the United States. And generally, you're taking at most a low-dose statin from those 28 products listed. That supplement, by the way, was not one of the 28 products. But from those 28 products that were studied, if you happen to use the one that has the highest lovastatin content and you took 2,400 milligrams per day, you would end up with a lovastatin load of equivalent to a low dose lovastatin. If that's the case, it's actually safer to take a low dose statin because at least you know how much you're getting and it's controlled. And this is assuming that the cholesterol impact is actually from the lovastatin content. There are other things in red yeast rice which may very well contribute to lowering cholesterol. The original products, it was really the lovastatin content. I started taking red yeast rice around 2013. I immediately got off it because I had a similar experience with statins. What happened was somebody at work said, oh, if you can't take statins, take red yeast rice. My husband takes it and his cholesterol's under control and he couldn't take a statin. If that's the case, he should be having the same side effects on red yeast rice if it was really lowering his cholesterol, unless he was having the nocebo effect with statins, and I'm not going to diagnose that. I've had people tell me, oh, you're just having the nocebo effect. So I have no idea how much lovastatin was in that product at the time. If you feel that red yeast rice is working for you, well then I would recommend staying with the same manufacturer. I mean, there is a chance, it's not a guarantee, but there's a chance you'll get a consistent dose. Now that supplement where the dose varied widely, like 35 times as much in one capsule versus in other capsules, yeah, that's not very good quality control. I'm hoping that the larger supplement providers of red yeast rice do have enough quality control that you're going to get a consistent dose. So if it's working for you, fine, go ahead. Just realize you're taking a low dose statin. Presumably it's legal because it's under whatever minimum the FDA has set. No guarantee there. And with that supplement, by the way, the one that I reviewed a moment ago, the bottle of 80 capsules cost about $50. And you actually still can get it from foreign sources. And it is sold legally in other countries such as India. I was looking at a website about that and seeing all the testimonials about it. Apparently, 80 caplets, that's only good for just over 13 days. So you're talking over $100 a month if you're going to be taking that supplement. Just keep that in mind. You will have to decide whether that's something you want to do. Like I said, I won't take red yeast rice. The statin content in it was what was causing cholesterol to be lowered. So I see no reason to take it, especially since it's not regulated. Since I refuse to take statins, I'm just not going to go down that path. So that's what I have on red yeast rice. Thanks for your attention. And if you appreciate this content, please like, share, subscribe, and comment on this topic or others that you'd like me to cover. And if you haven't seen this video, I recommend you take a look at it now. Thanks for listening.